Betty and Mike, welcome to Chowpia Hospital and welcome to Bangkok.
Thank you.
Mike, you're here for your first treatment of stem cells, adult stem cells.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me a little bit about your diagnosis and your history?
I had my first heart attack when I was 36 years old. I'm 64 years old now. I've had 2 open heart surgeries. The first one was 5 bypasses. The second one was 1. I've had a rotablator. I've had a defibrillator and pacemaker. I've had several stents, and I'm in end-stage heart disease. I'm dying.
Your cardiologist told you that?
Yes, they told me in April last year that I had probably just about a little over a year to live. And they wanted me to have a heart transplant. And Betty and I discussed it, and I've been to 2 heart transplant centers. I've talked to heart transplant patients, and that isn't something I want to do.
Can you tell me, please, how being an end-stage cardiac patient has impacted on your life? What can't you do?
There's so many things I can't do. I'm tired. I'm so tired, and walking, I have difficulty walking any distance. And of course I have the anxiety that probably comes with knowing that, you know, my time with my wife and kids and grandkids is short.
Did it affect your mood?
You know, my glass is usually half full, but there are times it does affect my mood. And I know it affects Betty's, because when I don't feel good, I'm like an old dog. I get grouchy.
Betty, what's it been like for you? You've lived with a heart patient for many years, watching him slowly get more and more ill.
Well, you know, like you said, he's had it so long, I'm kind of used to it now. But probably the last year, I've noticed him really go downhill since his last heart attack. And, you know, they've tried medicines and they just don't, they help for a little while, then they don't. So he's kind of to that point where there's nothing else. This is it. So.
How did you feel? What was the feeling that went with it? Despair, hopelessness, what?
Well, there was some despair. There was despair. It's something that you know, you think about late at night. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you think about it. And I read up on it. I do a lot of research. And dying of congestive heart failure is a terrible death. And I just want to hang around for a while.
So how did you find stem cells? How did you discover?
Several years ago, I saw a short article on television about stem cells. And it was in the back of my mind. And when the doctor told me I had to have a heart transplant or die, I said, what about stem cells? He said, I have other patients. I try to get stem cell done, and they won't do it in the United States. He says, I'll try, but he had no success. And so I was on the internet reading my old hometown newspaper, and I saw an article on a man named Jim Burns who had been here and had a stem cell transplant. So I talked to Betty and I said, here's a guy that went to Thailand. And she says, well, call him up. So I did. And here we are.
Was the decision a difficult decision, the process?
Well, it was in some regards because of the cost. And I think about when I die, Betty's retirement money that she'll have to live on.
But I'd much rather have him here.
And she said, yeah, how much is your life worth? So, and it's a long ways. That was the biggest concern was, will I be able to take the trip, the airplane trip?
I was just going to ask you about your concerns about flying halfway around the world to a foreign country in a different language and a different culture.
But I got oxygen on the airplane. very economical. It was only $100 for each leg, and I went business class, so I had room to stretch out, and it was really, it wasn't that bad.
And from your arrival at Bangkok Airport, what's been your experience?
Well, it's amazement. I was a little skeptical. And here we are, we're staying in a 4-star hotel. The people treat us like royalty. Everyone smiles. You know, doctors are so genuine, and we've been blessed. Don't you think?
Yes. People are very, very nice. Very, very nice.
So what would you say to somebody else in your position that had run out of options? What would you say to them?
I'd say go to Thailand.
Yeah, if you can afford it, go.
I wouldn't even say if you can afford it. I'd say go. Figure out a way to go.
Borrow money, whatever you need to do.
Because it's just, it's a bright spot in a bunch of darkness.
Did you feel safe and well cared for in the hospital setting?
Oh, more. I've been in so many hospitals, and this hospital is without doubt the most comfortable and caring that I've ever been in.
Was it worth the money?
Absolutely.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but you know something? Even if this doesn't have the success of some other patients, even if it doesn't, it's been worth the money. And maybe it will help someone else. My doctor and I talked about that. Perhaps I won't, because my heart's so bad, I may not get the benefits some others get, but it could be a hope for somebody else. And it'll be worth it just for that.